What if the next business you own is already built? Millions of profitable businesses are owned by baby boomers who are preparing to retire, and many do not have a buyer lined up yet. This creates a rare opportunity for entrepreneurs who want ownership without starting from zero. Yay. In this episode of Profit with a Plan, we're going to share why business acquisition may be more accessible than people think, and how an SBA financing can help lower the barrier to entry, and what first time buyers absolutely need to know before making the move. Because sometimes the smartest path to growth is buying what's already working. So join us on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, the podcast where we help businesses grow smarter, increase profitability, and build a company that's worth more, whether you plan to keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. Each week, I share practical strategies and expert insights and real-world steps to help you grow revenue, improve margin, and build a stronger business. Today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where strategy turns into profitable growth. But before we jump in, I have something special for you. If your revenue may have plateaued, or maybe your marketing just isn't producing the returns it should, then go get your free Profit Booster Growth Map. In just a few minutes, it'll help you identify where to bring in more qualified clients, where profit leaks may be costing you money. Go get yours after the show at profitbooster.biz. And by the way, there's no sales call required. Now let's get into today's conversation. My guest today, I'm excited to bring on Corey Parchman. He is a former NFL player, entrepreneur, real estate developer, and business acquisition specialist with more than 20 years of experience building, owning, and operating businesses. As the president of CorePar Development, Corey has led real estate projects, managed investment opportunities, and helped entrepreneurs to understand how to evaluate and grow profitable ventures. Today, he helps entrepreneurs, athletes, and aspiring business owners see business acquisition as a real path to ownership, wealth building, and long-term opportunity. He's also the author of Already Built, a new book coming out that shows how first-time buyers can buy existing businesses from retiring owners instead of starting from scratch. Corey, welcome to Profit with a Plan. I'm excited to have you on today.
Well, Sia, thank you for that amazing intro. I was like, who is she talking about? As I was listening to it, like me.
Yeah, you got all that behind you. You're somebody.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I gotta ask, coming out of the NFL, there's lots of opportunities, I'm sure, that shine their lights on you. Why did you pick business and business acquisition?
Well, I would love to say the honest answer is because I thought I was going to play a million years and I was going to retire and then start businesses. But the NFL actually means not for long. So, and people would ask me all the time, like, when did I start the plan B or thinking about my retirement? And I was like, after the first day of practice. I realized then that I might not be in the NFL for long. So I knew then I had to start about thinking about plan B, and which was starting a business and kind of go from there. So really early on in my career, I started the business process. It took about 2 years before I actually opened my own business. But in the meantime, I did a lot of research prior to it.
Excellent. Well, I love the topic of business acquisition because shortcuts are so much nicer. We all know that, oh my gosh, trying to build your business from scratch is a lot of work and very tough, and the probability of success is slim.
Yeah.
So why not take somebody's business that's already built and ready to go? I mean, I love the concept on it. So thank you for bringing this to light for the audience and listeners today. But so how does one go about finding a business that's ready to go, let alone one that's going to be a good set for them?
Good question. Well, I think to answer your first statement about why it seemed wasn't a thought process lots of people have is because I think that people think they got to spend a ton of money to own a business or buy a business. I think that's the concept of who
Ah.
buys businesses. You always hear about like large equity firms or large holding companies, but you rarely hear about individuals purchasing them. but it happens all the time. It just so happens now it's going to happen a little bit more than normal because there are a lot of businesses that are going to be for sale. But you got to do your research. You have to know what you want to get involved with and what you want to own. I tell my people that talk to me all the time, consultants, figure out what you want to do, what you want to own. Don't go by any trends or what sounds good or in theory. Find out what you want to own and make sure whatever it is, it's somewhere near your hometown. That way you're able to be the real life in-person owner. And if you just talk to people in your local town, you can find out who's looking to sell, who's retiring, and you can find it that way. And the best way I've found businesses is by doing the research, by building relationships. So I would tell someone that there are the number of ways. There's, of course, there's brokers online. That's a process in its own. But I would say, build relationships, do your research on what business has been around for 20, 30, 40 years and kind of go from there. So that's where I would start. Look at what you want to own and then do the research of what business has been around for a while.
I like that. I love the fact that it's building a network of people and getting involved in your town. I know you do a lot in a smaller town, so I think that's fantastic. But let me ask you, so do we want businesses that we're going to be hands-on in and actually, turning the wrench and answering the phone, or do we want businesses that we kind of lean back and manage and oversee, yet not be heavily involved?
I think in certain aspects, certain worlds, that is a process of owning a business and sitting back. But you and I know if you're a business owner, you're going to be in there doing something. I think it's important to be able to understand what you're buying. I think it's important to understand what you're going to be doing because you want to be able to know how to grow the business and know what the business needs and doesn't need. So I would think that your first year or so, you need to be in there doing those things, learn about the business. So you
Got it.
can, and your employees will respect you more if they know you know what's going on, and you're able to make better informed decisions if you're in there, working and figuring things out. And then maybe later on get to a point where you're looking back and you're looking to sit back. But I'm working with people who want to be hands-on, who want to own those businesses, because I think it's important for those owners who are selling that business to know that person who's buying is vested. So if you're going to buy a business from a retired baby boomer, most of them want to know that you're going to be there and continue to grow that business because they knew what it takes to grow it. So they want to turn over to somebody who has that same commitment to take it even further.
Got it. So what do you think about the trades businesses? Like, where you need to have a certain skill to be involved in it? Such as a plumber, contractor, gosh, even an attorney or a medical practice. I mean, those need hands-on and skills and sometimes even licenses.
Yeah, so a lot of my clients that I have a consulting service to help people buy businesses come to me. That's the first thing they say because they've heard it online that I want to buy an HVAC company or a plumbing company, things of that nature. And I never, discourage anyone from doing anything they want to do, but I want to give them as much information as possible so they can be informed on what to do. And the one thing I talk about is just like you stated, with those trades, you're going to license, you're going to need some kind of formal training. So if you don't have that personally, you're going to be holding to someone else who has that license and training.
Ah,
So I never ever discourage anyone, but I tell them that this is something you got to think about. If you buy this business, who's going to work for you who has a license and how much leverage will they have because they're the ones holding the license. You might have to give up a little bit of equity in the business. So you got to be creative if you're going to do it. But the thing about that, if you're looking to buy a business, if that person leaves, then where are you going to be the next week or next month? So I don't discourage anyone. I just give as much information as possible and then make the decisions they make. But trades is the one I hear about a lot. But I tell people all the time, hey, make sure you have someone in mind that's going to be able to run that have a license. And I know personally, working in construction a lot, the trade industry is very, very tough right now, and it's very, very
mm.
thin. So even finding someone that's going to be a challenge, but it can be done. But that's
Yeah.
just one of the things I advise.
Yeah, because I mean, you also have to understand the nature of the business you're getting into. And if you're not a plumber or or something in the trades, then you're going to come in and go, well, I know business, right? I've got
Yes.
my business degree, or I've experienced businesses, or, I worked in some form of business before. But then that's different. I mean, you got to know the lingo, you got to know, what's going on and what to expect, really.
Yeah, so I inform and I educate my clients on learning about the business first. And like once again, let's say they do want to own a plumbing company. Well, learn as much as you can about the business and how it's ran So when you do hire someone, have an idea what's going on. So it can be done like anything else. You have to do your research. Just because it's not a startup, you still have to put in a certain amount of work. And I think the advantage of this is owning a business is tough. But if you own it's already started, that's one part of the toughness is you've already got it out of the way. So now you learn how to
Yeah.
operate and run the business. The startup aspect, you're learning everything going on, how to get customers, marketing, what work, what doesn't work. But if it's already started, now you're working on how to take it to another level. And I think that's the key of acquiring a business versus starting one up.
I love that. Yeah, to get past that first hurdle. I mean, my goodness, that's the best thing. And then they've come to market, right? They've already got clients that are lined up or customers. They've already got experience and visibility in the community. Now you're just fine tuning and you're tweaking and you're making minor adjustments, not big heavy shifts like you often do when you're starting a business. So I like that idea. So what kind of industries are you seeing right now that are attractive and create great opportunity for business? Uh, I wouldn't call them business owners yet, but those seeking to become business owners and buying someone else's.
I think it's a wide variety. It's depending on what you want to do, what you want to get into. It can be from owning a restaurant to owning a pest control company, to owning a window cleaning company, to owning a flower shop. There are a lot of baby boomers. There's almost 6 million jobs or companies that are going to be up for sale. So it's
Mm.
depending on what you want to do. And we talk about what's called a buy box. And I talk to my clients about that. What does your buy box look like? What are the industries you want to be in? How much cash flow do you want to have? How much can you actually spend on this business? So we go through a whole process when it comes to buying a business, and we call it the buy box. We can get an idea of, okay, what are the things that you want check off the list of the business and figure out what you want to do. You don't want to go in randomly and just pick out any random business. You want to have a strategy going into it, and I help the clients create that strategy so they can stay within that framework in order to find a business.
Love it. Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, you definitely
Yeah.
want to be in the zone and understand that piece on it. All right. So let's talk about that. You kind of sprinkled something in there and said, you got to know how much you're going to spend, right? What
Yes.
are we talking about investment wise when someone wants to buy an existing business? I know that there's opportunities to find financing, but what do we need to have? What should the future business owner have available as funds to operate the business?
Once again, it depends on how big of a business that you want to own and how you want to run it. And I'll get into a little further, but one of the programs we use is called about SBA is called 7A loan. And basically what happens is the SBA will give you 90% of funding. You have to bring 10% of that funding in. So depending on where you want to be at, if you want to own a $500 business, you bring in 50K. And then you have to have some reserves for yourself also. And what happens is the SBA is going to help you walk you through that process at the end of it to make sure the finances line up. But for the most part, you want to figure out how much you can invest into a business, but have reserves also. So, for example, if you want to buy a business that costs 500K, the SBA says, okay, as long as business is cash flowing, you check all these boxes, we'll finance 90% of that. You bring in 50K. So now your 50K is in there and the business is purchased. But then you want to have a little bit of cash reserves as that business is cash flowing, you still want to make sure that you're able to stay afloat and go from that point on to keep it established. So I would just say where you are financially and do the math. And we do the whole breakdown. We take your whole finances and look at where you are and what you can afford, and then what that looks like on the outside of it. So we walk you through that entire process of, hey, how much can you actually afford? How much does the business cost? Is that business cash flowing? Is it cash flowing enough to where you want to get into this business? So we walk through that entire process because there's a steps to getting there. It's not like buying a car and like, oh, I like that red color. There's a lot of due diligence you have to do on the
Absolutely not.
inside.
You absolutely need to go in there with your eyes wide open and your pocketbook wide open. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, so the thing that you brought up about cash flowing, just because it is positively cash flowing, when you change an owner, and the primary owner, you may have a hiccup along the way.
Mm,
Especially in the first year where the customers feel a little maybe uncertain about the new ownership or market changes or whatever. So you've got to have that slush fund in your back pocket for just in case to keep everything flowing. You could even lose an employee or a key employee, God forbid, that would get out of there. So what kind of reserve percentage wise, or like, if we continue with this $500,000 purchase and the $50,000 down payment, what kind of reserve would you expect somebody to have in their pocket?
I would say
Hey,
about
quick pause here. If you've ever wondered what your next smartest move should be to grow your business, well, I've built something for you. It's called the Profit Booster Growth Map. It takes only about 2 minutes, it's totally free, and it shows you exactly where you're leaving money on the table and what to fix first. Go grab it for free at profitbooster.biz/growth map. Then come right back to the episode. In their pocket.
I would say about ten to $15,000 in reserves.
That's all?
But yeah, it's not much because once again, the business is already cash flowing. And what you've done is you look at the numbers and you make sure, okay, if it's cash flowing, how much of the owner am I making on this business already? So you're already going to have cash flowing in your pocket for you as the owner. So we look at what's called EBITDA. And what happens is basically I say to myself, I want to buy a business that's cash flowing enough to where I'm paying myself $80,000, $100,000. That's going to a lot of numbers. We got to research on that, but that's kind of going into it. So day one, when you own that business, you're making money already as the owner. We put that in the number process, the purchase process, to make sure it's cash flowing enough to make money for you. We always want to make sure it's cash flowing at least 45 cents over each dollar. So basically, we don't want to buy a business that's cash flowing 1 to 1, where you're making $100, but you're going out $100. Want to make sure it's
That's
about
right.
45 cents over. That way, that
Okay.
also covers your salary going into it. So day one, you're making a salary on this business. The main thing,
Which
like
is
I said,
completely unusual in a startup, right? I
it's
mean,
impossible. That doesn't happen in the startup at all. What happens in this. And this is the thing we talk about when we're buying a business is making sure it cash flows enough to cover what you want as a business owner. Sometimes you be strategic and say, okay, I'm gonna take a little bit less and grow it in the next couple of years, or I'm going to take it all up front and keep it going. But you want to make sure when you buy the business, it's cash flowing enough to where, because you're going to have to commit a lot of time, effort to this once it's purchased. So you want to say to yourself, can I commit enough time and effort to take care of this business at the same time, pay myself enough to take care of my family? But as any business owner knows, whether you're a startup or whether you're acquiring a business, it's going to take time to get to where you need to go to and be smart about it. So we talk about all these things when we talk about buying a business. Everyone will pick $1 million. I get that, but what's realistic? What can you really make on acquiring a business? So we go through all that process also.
Exactly. Okay, so this is actually sounding a lot more easier than, I expected coming in, because with the SBA loan, with your structure and support that you offer, you're really giving potential owners a strong foundation to build off of. So
Yes.
with that foundation, what other skill sets should they have? Do they need to know how to market? Do they need to know how to do bookkeeping? What other skills should they know when they're coming in so they're prepared?
Good question. So there's a few things. So once again, we recommend that start a bit or acquire a business you know about. But once again, everything's already in place. That business has been cash flowing. You just take out what they've already doing and start duplicating that over and over again. The other thing we talk about is creating a deal with the previous owner
Mm.
to do a little bit of owner financing. So they still have skin in the game, but so they also train you as you go through the process. So we recommend that we talk to our buyers to talk to the sellers and say, hey, do you mind staying on 6, 8, 12 months until I get this thing going? I know you mentioned before about sometimes losing customers. This is where you want to have a relationship with the owner to say to him or her, hey, do you mind sticking around as we develop and grow to make your customers feel comfortable with the new owner? So these are things we talk about of when you do purchase businesses, build a relationship with the previous owner so you can have that smooth transition with the employees, also with the customers. The first 90 days, you want to sit and just learn the business. So what you want to do is keep that seller, that the seller there, the business owner there, so they can teach you as much as possible. So it's a smooth transition. But once again, it's about building relationships. And they know you're not some big equity firm coming in. You're a person who wants to keep that business going there started. So build a relationship with them and learn as much as you can in the few months they're willing to be there to help you out with that process.
That sounds amazing. So what probability would we expect the current business owner, the seller, to want to stay on? So sometimes it's either they're selling due to a health issue,
Hmm.
or they're selling because, they're just done.
Yeah.
I mean, things could be in the way. A lot of times it's uncontrolled situations like health, or, finances, or, they have to move or something that required them to sell that. But how do we really get them to stay on and be an active participant, and not, do that headbutting of, hey, this is my business now. We're gonna, I mean, it
Yeah.
just sounds kind of messy to have the old business owner on, even though there's great benefits.
Yeah, so I would love to say in a perfect world that every business owner wants to stay until you are ready to go. I would love to say that it's not possible. And I would love to say that it'll be great if you had the business owner there working with you. But as you are the new acquirer of the business, you got to figure out what works best for you. You're now the owner of this business. You're now in control. You're now responsible for the business. So I think you have to, once again, build a relationship with the previous owner, but figure out where you want that relationship to start and you want it to end at because you're responsible for it. So you are the business owner. You're not going into this thing blind. I would never consult anyone or work with anyone who's going in this thing blind and say, hey, it's going to work out by itself. Before I take
No
on a
way.
client, before I take on a client, I'll do a due diligence with them because I don't want to waste my time or their time. So I don't want to take on any client. I have to know they're committed to owning a business. And once I know they're committed, then they're willing to do the things it takes to keep that business going. Once again, if it's build a relationship with the previous owner and that owner says, hey, I don't want nothing to do with this place, they have the capability and the education to understand, what's going on. And that happens a lot. You have business owners say, hey, I'm retired, or you have some
I'm
that passed
done.
away or some have health issues, they're out the door. So you have to do your research. So it's not, once again, it's not as easy as, once again, I'm own a business. Now put my hands up. It's work. It's
It
work.
is work. Yeah.
It's work.
But it's rewarding work. I mean, from a fellow business owner, I mean, it to me it's rewarding. You're building something, you're building a legacy, you're building your wealth, you're taking care and nurturing the family that are your employees and team. You're nurturing the family that is your customer base. And for
Yeah.
me, I love that kind of stuff. So you have to, like you said, you have to be in the right mindset of wanting to own a business and really truly caring about the new community that you're
Yeah.
stepping into. And I think that's really important. But yeah, so if we got in there, right,
Mm.
and things were going well for a little while, how do you start to really engage? I think you mentioned earlier about, that key employee and sharing some equity with them. What does that look like?
So that's some of the strategy I do personally because I still acquire properties myself. Even though I have clients I consult and help out, I still own myself. But I'm not a owner operator. I'm not there every single day. So my buy box is when I purchase the businesses, I try to find a business that has a general manager already in place. And then the
Hmm.
key with that general manager in place, if they're really good, they've been there for a while, is to give them part equity in the business. Now they're vested because they have equity in the business. They want to see it grow because once again, I'm a little different. I own several businesses across the country, and I can't be at all of them, right? But
Okay.
and I know the world employees that employees are dedicated until they're not. It's
That's
just the
it.
reality of it. But if I have someone who has equity in the business, who's been running it, who's a general manager, now I can put that trust in them. They're going to keep it going because now they have a stake in the business. So that's my buy box. And once again, I talk to each one of my clients on what their buy box looks like. What do their model look like? My model says I find businesses who have general managers already in place. I've turned down deals that were great economic deals, but there was no general manager in place, and I can't be there. Now, if I was the owner operator, it'd have been great because I could have stepped right in and developed it and then started it and kind of hire a general manager, but it didn't. So you just got to figure out what works best for you. But I had to turn down deals because it didn't fit in my buy box. And you got to be disciplined as the owner to say, this is my criteria. I'm not going outside of that because sometimes things look good like, oh, I shouldn't like stay in that buy box and you'll be okay.
That makes great sense
Yeah.
because when you are buying multiple businesses and you want to be an investor and you want to be involved, but you don't want to do the day to day, right? As the
Yes.
owner operator, that's a fantastic model. And when you have that key employee and they stay on, then that gives the strength to the other employees as well as the customers that this business is going to continue the way it was. It's just got a
Yeah.
new name behind the scenes.
Yes.
The front of the store still looks the same and acts the same. So I like that.
Yeah.
That's also a really great way to ensure that the key employees don't leave.
Yeah. So, my buy box, personally, like I say, everyone, when I say buy box, it's a set of criteria that you're going to create in order to when you purchase a business. Like, this is what I need in order to buy a
Mm.
business. It goes from cash flow to style of business to region and all that. So that's what I mean by that. And
Hmm.
mine is I only do commercial businesses, B2B businesses. I want to stay away from, the businesses that the customers come because of the owner. Like you just said, personally, that's not what I can do, but that's my discipline. So I've had companies that, once again, the cash flow, that were amazing profits, but they were customer-based businesses. I'd say, no, that's not my buy box. I stay within what I want to do. I can't go over here because this is what I do. So I only buy businesses that are commercial businesses, B2Bs, like commercial cleaning company, pest control companies that do commercial work,
Sure.
because now that customer base is another company, not an individual. And then even with that
Mm.
being said, I still look at the customer saturation. I look at see the top three customers that business has, and if one of those customers is more than 40% of the revenue, I'll walk away from it because if I lose that one contract, it's done. But these
It's
are the
dangerous,
things you have
yeah.
to think about when you're going to buy a business. It's the buy box. What are your hard yeses and your hard no's? And that's what we do. We look at that. So that's my buy box. Has to
So
be
how many
commercial.
how many items do we really look at when because you just rattled off a handful that sparked interest in me.
Yeah.
How do you really look at that? What are you looking at when you're buying? What are your criteria, right? Because you said
Yeah.
it's up to you, but yeah, there's still a framework you're going to follow.
Yeah, of course, the number one is cash flow. You want to make sure the business is cash flow. That's number one. And you look at the 3-year tax return. I advise people look at a little bit more than 3 years because in 2020, a lot of business got a big injection of cash flow because of
Mhm.
COVID. So look at past 3 years and prior to 3 years. But you want to look at what industry you want to own in, what type of business you want to own. Then geographically, where do you want it to be at? I recommend nothing no more than 90 minutes from your house. Those are the two top things. And after you look at the kind of industry you want to be in, and then geographic, now you want to look at what kind of business. Do I want to own a customer-based business or a commercial-based business? Those are the things you have to
Mhm.
think about. Then when you go from there, you got to think about, okay, where do I want to be an owner operator or do I want to hire a general manager? So all these things we check off when we have our initial conversations about what you want to do as the owner, because everyone's gonna be different. So it's based off,
Yeah.
once again, what you want to do. Do you want to be an owner operator? Do you want to own something within 90 minutes of your house? What industry you want to be in? How big you want it to be? Those are the things we break down to see what's the best fit for you. And then once we kind of get that criteria, then we kind of go to the next step of searching for the jobs or the companies in that industry that you picked out.
Nice. And then we're not talking franchise opportunities here. We're talking individual standing businesses that are running and working. So you're not having any of those extra
No.
fees or rules or regulations that you have to follow by having a large branded name.
Yeah, we stay away
This
from
is going to be,
franchises. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
those can be quite headaches at times.
Yeah. I've never ever investigated how that works. You hear about things about, just I know I do know you have to pay like, franchise fees, things like that. This is totally different. These are individual owners who built their businesses from scratch and now say to themselves, I'm either retiring and
I'm done.
my kids don't want it anymore, or don't want it at all, or I don't have any kids, or it's like, but think about the people who are up under them, that work up under them, they're going to lose their jobs. That's
Yeah.
why I'm really committed to, individuals to looking to be owner operators. They're going to take that business and keep it going because, you know, small businesses is the heartbeat of America. And if
I
these small
agree.
businesses go out of businesses, we're not going to have anything here. So this is why my goal is to teach people how to be owner operators within their own area and grow that business. So your town, your city, whatever can keep thriving. Because once again, the retirees are older and they're retiring, they're leaving, and they need someone
Yeah.
to replace it.
And I think that's part of it. We spoke about it a little earlier, the community, right? It's the
Yeah,
community or your new family of the employees, whether there's 3 employees or 30 employees or 300 employees, they're still your family that you are
yeah,
now responsible to take care of. But I always like to say it's the community that the business supports that also
Yes.
becomes your family. And I think that that's something really important that you want to keep going, right? Because
Yeah.
that business supports the town because you're paying people, and it supports the town because they're somehow using your service. Even though you're a business consumer, there's still other businesses are still using your services. So I think that that's a real value that is
Yes.
being overlooked for something that could be kind of turn and burn, like as you mentioned, the HVAC or the trades that are, kind of popular. But
Yeah, you're that correct. To your point, this is why I've had and personally had happened to me and also with other people. So where business owners actually took less from the individual than from a equity firm that wanted to buy it. I've seen it happen where there's been a business for sale and the equity company offered them a certain amount that was higher, but they rather sell it to an individual they know is going to be there and take care of their employee and take care of the business because that
exactly.
owner, once again, that's their family. That's people they've seen their kids being born, they've seen, surgeries, all that. So they say to themselves, I'd rather sell it to an individual than a big corporation who's going to earn and burn it. They're going to take it and sell off the parts. So that's why it's a good opportunity for people who want to be individual owners to say, okay, this is a great chance because owners want to sell to other owners, not the big corporations. And I've seen owners take less money to sell to an individual. It happened in my case too. I purchased a business where it was a tool company, tool manufacturing company I purchased, and the equity firm offered maybe two times what I offered, but they're out of New York. And the owner was like, hey, I'd rather sell it to you because you live in Indiana. I know you're going to take care of the people here and the people who are
Mhm.
community. So that's why it's a good opportunity for individuals that want to own businesses right now.
I love it. I love it. Corey, this is so fun. You've opened up some ideas for the opportunity to get into business. Business is like number one, number two with real estate for long-term wealth accumulation. It's a great opportunity coming from two business owners that are saying this is a great opportunity to be in and to skip the headache of the start and buy
Yes.
something that is already going. So this is fantastic, and I love the idea of it. So
Thank you.
while we're here, and I know we could talk forever, but where can
Yes.
listeners find out more about you and how they can start buying some businesses from companies that are already going?
Of course. You can go to my website. It's CorePar.com. And I would tell you, do your research on me. Hey, look at my website. Also go through different, Google searches about me and not the ones that I wrote, of course, other ones. Because I think if you're serious about business, it's about having credibility. And I want to make sure that people know I have credibility. I've done the work. There's a lot of stuff on the
Mhm.
internet now, and everyone's selling something, everyone's doing something with no credibility. But do your research on me. You can go to my website and look me up. Also, any social media, same thing, Corey Parchman. Look me up and kind of go from there.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. I think this is a valuable service. It's an option, right? Because
Yeah.
there are many ways that you can get involved. And I love your grassroots way of going, get involved in the community and look around, build a relationship. And that's how you buy a company rather than potentially, and I'm not bashing brokers at all or
Not at
or
all.
or
Not at all.
other opportunities. That's just another way.
Another
And
way.
this is
Yes.
this is a great way as well. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you're walking away with a few practical ideas that you can put into your business, whether it's a new business or adding to your business. Maybe you're going to buy a competition, or maybe you're going to buy another complementary business to your business. And this will help you make your businesses more profitable and potentially even more valuable to sell in the future yourself. All right, before we go, if you want a clearer path to more revenue and a stronger profit, you can now go grab your free Profit Booster Growth Map. It'll quickly show you the top strategies to grow revenue and stop those profit leaks that might be holding your business back. You can go get it now at profitbooster.biz. And if this episode gave you value, be sure to subscribe and share it with other business owners who just may need to hear it. I'll see you next week with more strategies to help you grow smarter and profit stronger. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Corey.